Hey guys, what's up? It's Rymar. We're here at WordCamp Tampa 2015. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to give a talk about the future of sales. I'm going to help people understand where sales is now versus where it's heading in the future, and how to use information, more specifically the information you generate on your website as a currency to either grow with WordPress or grow your website in general. So it's my first talk. I'm a little nervous, but we'll see how it goes. See you at the end, guys. What's up, guys? Ooh, hello, volume. All right, start presentation, open speaker view. I'm trying some new technology here, so we're going to actually try to use my phone as a remote here. But we're going to try to understand the process of sales, right? We're at a point, right? We're moving from a world which the big eat the small into a world where the fast eat the slow. And we're seeing this everywhere in the online world, right? The internet is growing faster than we can really keep up with. And the reason that we're all here in this room is because we're trying to learn how to grow with WordPress. And everybody in here wants to know how to learn how you grow with WordPress is trying to sell more stuff on your website, right? And so the purpose of this talk is we're going to introduce you to the concept of sales, how it works right now versus how it's going to work moving into the future, right? Sales is changing just like everything else is, in the process by which we actually sell, the process by which we buy, and the process by which we really interact with businesses in general is changing very fast. Secondly, understanding information as a currency. Okay, we're going to talk about some big data aggregators right now. We're talking about Facebook, Google, the guys that are controlling the flow of information on the internet right now. This is the future of sales. So understanding how to use that data, how to leverage it on your website, and more specifically, how your WordPress website can help you use that information as a currency. And again, keeping your website ahead of the curve. So how do you stay ahead of the sales curve? Hello, next slide, please. All right, so there are 5 steps to every sale. Whether you're selling online, whether you're selling in real time, whatever it is, there's 5 steps to every single sale. First of all, you have to win my attention, right? The guy before this was talking about podcasting. This is the publishing track, and so there's all sorts of ideas and concepts about how to win people's attention. And there's 2 steps, right? Before you can sell anybody a single thing, you have to sell them on why they should listen to you. And that's step 1, right? Step 2, hello? Come on, baby. Short story, you have to captivate me. Everybody's seeing this. Why is WordPress so important? Why is that blog so important? Why is your story so important? Because it allows you to build trust. It allows you to get to step 3. And step 3 is where we start making inroads towards something that looks a lot like a sale, or gives us an opportunity to try to make that sale. Puts us in a position to take step number 4, right? Which is close, taking control. Back in the day, this used to happen very aggressively, right? You're sitting across the desk from somebody, you're trying to buy a car, and it's like, well, mister, you have option A and option B. Which one works best for you? I'm trying to take control of that situation. I'm trying to drive you in a very specific direction, right? Online, that happens a little differently. Online, you have to have a very specific call to action, right? You have to have a flow to your website. Your information architecture has to make sense so that you can get the person down those steps. And most importantly, if you want to win in the future of sales, you have to deliver. Because anybody can sell, right? Anybody can get up there, they can tell you, oh, this is the most amazing product we've ever had. You got to buy 3 of them and don't. But wait, that's not all. If you buy 3, you get the next 3 free, right? But who cares if they suck, right? And so we'll talk about this later. When you're looking at the world of social sales, when you're trying to figure out how to sell something socially, it doesn't begin until after the sale has taken place, all right? So keep that in mind as we move through this. If we're going to understand how to sell, right? So if you want to get better at selling, you have to understand what a sale actually is. So I went to Google, because Google has all the information, and information is a currency, right? And I wanted to know. They had something I needed to know, therefore I had to go to them to get it. The exchange of a commodity for money, the action of selling something. We're not going to go over number 2, an event for the rapid disposal of goods, because if anything, that should actually anger us. When something goes on sale, you should get mad, because that means you're being played again. That means the company made a mistake, or they're trying to trick you into buying something, right? Why aren't there just prices? Why do we need to sell? Why do we need a discount to drive that engagement? But it is. That's one of the biggest tactics, right? So when you walk into a store and you see your favorite bottle of wine for $20 instead of $27, you get excited, but you should really get mad, because you're paying $7 extra every other time you buy that bottle. Why do we accept that, right? So now, we talked about what a sale is. So what is the process of selling? Right? So selling more specifically, to give or hand something over in exchange for money, that's one, right? That's what most people might think. But let's look at the second one, to persuade someone of the merits, right? So essentially, we're interacting with somebody. Every interaction you have with somebody is actually some form of sale. You're selling one of the four things: an idea, hello, a service, a product, and your time, right? One of these four things. Every time you interact with a human being, a transaction is taking place, the exchange of one of these four things. Right now, I'm trying to sell you on the fact that my ideas make more sense than what you used to think about sales. And you get to make a decision whether you're going to buy that idea at the end of this talk, right? Your job, you work, you spend time, they pay you money, right? Your friend who's trying to get you to go out, maybe you're going on a date, you have to convince that girl that her time is worth your time, or that your time is worth her time, sorry. Hello. Sorry, there's a delay on the internet connection. So again, sales is the process. Humans add intent, right? Just like Word, Microsoft Word didn't make John Grisham a great writer, right? His words made that. Microsoft Word made that process possible, maybe Google Docs, I don't know, Evernote, whatever he's using now. It's a process, okay? We add the intent. So essentially, like we talked about before, everything in life is sales. Because as we move forward, in order to make a sale, you have to build a relationship. And if the process of exchanging information is the building of that relationship, then in order to make sales, you have to take that information, turn it into a relationship, and then leverage that relationship into whatever you can actually call a sale then, whatever that final end result is, okay? Excuse me. So right now, there's something happening online where everyone just wants to win the attention, right? They want to win step 1, 2, and 3. They want to win your attention, they want to tell you a story, and they want to get the opportunity to try to build your trust. But they're forgetting that relationship is part of that process, and it's probably the most important part of that process, right? You can't just go up to a girl in a bar and say, hey, let's go back to my place. You just can't do it, it doesn't work. I mean, you could try, but it probably wouldn't work, right? But if you buy a drink, you open up some conversation, you find some common ground, right? You have this exchange of information. And then maybe you can have an opportunity to take her out on a second date or have another encounter, right? So, come on. In the past, as we're talking about comparing how sales works now versus how it's going to work in the future, we have to understand that in the past, salespeople were the arbiters of information, right? And so if I wanted to buy something, I had to go talk to a salesperson. I couldn't go find information anywhere else. And so it became this battle between me and this guy who just has all the keys to the castle. He's got them in his pocket, and you can't get them unless you're coming out with your wallet, right? And I get to control how much it costs you to get those keys. And so it became really easy to take advantage of people, right? And so old school versus new school sales. Let's look at some of these examples here. Old school, we used to interrupt, right? TV advertising, radio advertising, all advertising that exists right now is interruption style. Pop-ups, hey, quick, put your email in here. Somehow, let me interrupt your gaze. But that's fading, right? The more effective way is to try to attract people. How do you create that content that brings people in? How do you create a magnet online that just sucks people into you? Sell, right? The process of selling is becoming obsolete. We've already talked about that. We need to inform. We need to build trust, right? We need to have this mutually beneficial relationship between the consumer and the company that allows us to understand those processes. Profit. Everything's driven by profit, right? Why not focus on people or on purpose? Why not tell me why you build that company? Why should I have your money? Why should I interact with your business, right? And then products. Yeah, products are great. Everybody's building products. Whatever. Give me some people. Show me why. We talked about this before. Social selling rarely begins until after the initial transaction. This is because that delivery point is where they decide whether or not they're going to be a social reference for you, right? Are they going to tell their friends on Twitter? Are they going to fill out the review on Google? Are they going to share the post on Facebook? Hey, I just bought so-and-so. Check me out with my new bag, right? That bag's got to be cool. You got to have a reason. And this is where people miss a lot of what's going on in sales because they think, oh, we did this thing, we got their buy-in, it's over. But that's really when it begins. So why is that changing? Why has that changed? Because the internet has evolved, right? We talked about the growth of the internet. So now I'm going to take you on a real quick timeline of, the internet and social media as it began and all the way to current day. 94, the internet is born, yay. 95, Newsweek says the internet is a fad. True story. 97, blogging is born. 1 million websites on the internet, AOL Instant Messenger. Some people still use that, actually. 98, Google comes. That's pretty much all we need to know about 98. 2000, 70 million connected computers, so think about that, right? We're only 15 years away from that point, and you'll see the jump in numbers. Some of the exponential growth in the internet is pretty much unreal. The dot-com collapse, we thought the internet was over. 2001, Wikipedia and iPods came out. 2003, WordPress, yay, we love it, that's why we're here, right? MySpace, those guys, wherever they went. Second Life, does everybody know about Second Life? You can literally live and make money and do things online already. It's like this whole virtual world. If you don't know about it, you should go just to see what's happening, because there are entire economies, entire second lives being lived online right now, right? LinkedIn, born in 2003, 3 billion websites, right? So what do we go back, 70 million in 2001? Now we're talking about 3 billion in 3 years. Oh yeah. 2004, Facebook, that's a big one. Podcasting. 2005, YouTube. Oh man, YouTube. We'll talk about that too. We got an age of YouTube stat coming up. Twitter. 2006, 25 billion websites. So here we are, 6 years later, 70 million websites to 25 billion. It gets impossible to track here, actually. 400 million search results per day on Google. Oh, did we skip one there? 2007, iPhone. Think about that for a second. It's only been 8 years since the iPhone came out. Think about just that, how it's changed everything. It's changed the entire game. Unfriend becomes a real word. That's legit. It's in the dictionary now. You can go. And not even Urban Dictionary. It's in a real dictionaries. 25% of the Earth's population is online, and it's almost impossible to keep track of the unique URLs. You've got dynamic pages that are in and out. You've got all sorts of things that are happening, and so it's becoming really difficult at this point to actually see what's happening on the internet. Facebook, 400 million users. iPad comes out. Internet replaces the newspaper as a primary place where people get their news. 65 million tweets a day, 2 billion views a day on YouTube. Get out of here. 90 million LinkedIn users, and then privacy, right? And as we start to see it, information becomes our currency. As this exchange of information becomes our wallet, privacy is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. YouTube stats. This is kind of unreal. If we think about the user-generated content, the way at which people are sharing their information, right? I have information right now, and we're exchanging it at a different scale than we typically do. Typically this is done on a one-on-one basis. But in cool instances like this, and with the internet, we have this opportunity to reach a way bigger audience with our message. And if this isn't a signal of it, this is the last one here. Twitter, 500 million users, 156 million blogs, Dropbox, 100 million users, and 1 billion files uploaded daily. Who uses Dropbox? Anybody in this room not use Dropbox? Yeah, exactly. Things are changing in the world of sales. We've already talked about that, but let's go back to why, right? The next slide is very interesting. Every time a new method of communication is introduced to society, it multiplies the total volume of information exponentially, right? So let's go back to grunt signals and raw and dancing around a fire, right? The first time people ever started to communicate, we're going all the way back to Neanderthals, before there was even language. There's not a whole lot of communication taking place, right? High fives, maybe some wall paintings, whatever it may be. Then we invent language, okay? We invent language, hello, and now we don't have to remember all these weird grunts and songs. We can actually start writing things down. Then we start printing these words. We put them in books. We start publishing them at mass scale, right? And then it evolves into radio. We take these words and then we broadcast them into the air over the waves so that people can actually listen, right? And now that information is reaching exponentially more people. Now television comes on. Now I don't just have to listen, I can actually see the pictures, right? We just saw what YouTube's doing. Video is the future of growth, right? So if information is the future of currency, video is the future of communication in general. So I'm not going to get into where video is headed online, but that's the next major growth sector for communication. Obviously, internet. Who knows what comes next, right? Who knows how maybe we can just upload thoughts directly to each other, right? Maybe. Why not? What's texting? Imagine if you don't have to pull your phone out to text. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just going to shoot it out. Right now, I talk right into my phone. It types it up. It sends it to a person. What if we just remove that step and the thought just came from my head and shot over to that person? It's not far-fetched, and we're not even talking about something that's that far off in the distance. What are these watches we're wearing? Peripherals. We have an implant already. It's just not under our skin, but it's always there because we're always exchanging information. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to actually get people to your website so that you can share some of that information. No matter how good your information is, it's just impossible to stand out. But you must. And here's how. The Industrial Revolution, if we go all the way back to what started all of this, right? What started all the growth? What started all the innovation? Cheap fossil fuel, right? Sparked transportation, it sparked agriculture, it sparked all sorts of innovation and technological growth at the beginning of the century. Information is that next fossil fuel, right? Information will be the fuel that powers all communication, all sales, all mechanisms of exchange. Everything moving forward is going to be built on the back of using information essentially as that fuel, right? Anybody read Ray Kurzweil's book, The Singularity? You should if you haven't. Talks a lot about some of these concepts. It talks about a point in time where technology surpasses our ability as humans to actually think about what might happen, right? If you're familiar with a black hole, once you pass that event horizon, you reach that singularity, we don't know. The laws of physics just disappear, right? So we don't know what happens beyond that point. And so the same thing is happening with technology, where it's growing so fast, it's growing exponentially, and artificial intelligence is coming next, so much so that we have no idea what's on the other side of that fence, right? There's no way for us to see past that line. But we will be convinced by it, right? We will be convinced by artificial intelligence, and that's happening right now. So let's think about why Google, Facebook, Twitter are so important, right? Why are they becoming so powerful? What happens when we reach a point where there's a digital nation, right? Instead of a bordered nation that's geographical. What happens when people start saying, no, we're going to start a sovereign nation digitally? And we're going to have our own currency, and we're going to have our own mechanisms of exchange, and we're going to do everything. And we're not even going to vote. We don't care about that, right? And if you had enough power, you could actually create real change in that context. Because we, again, have the power. We have the information. These guys are just mechanisms by which we exchange that information, right? These guys are the new banks, okay? We all used to transact with dollars. And now we don't. We trade these little bits of information. Snapchat, why $16 billion valuation with $0 in revenue? 400 snaps a day, 400 million snaps a day. They have information. They're the bank. They're printing the new money. Because everything we do revolves around the exchange of information, right? And so again, when's the last time you guys paid with cash? It happens here and there, right? But more and more we're swiping, Apple Pay, chip and pin, whatever it may be. So then who becomes the bank of the future? It's not Chase, you know? But they have a lot of information. They will still control you because you have to store that information somewhere. Why is Bitcoin gaining popularity? Bitcoin is just a very secure way of transmitting information, okay? Very secure, very private, very fast, completely distributed. Maybe it wins, maybe it doesn't. Who knows what happens with that as a tool? But they have shown that you can exchange information, that you can create these networks, that you can innovate with the exchange of information as a currency. So this brings up a good question. What specifically is a currency? Okay? A system of money in general use in a particular country, so it's a system. The dollar was a strong currency. You can note it doesn't say the dollar is a strong currency. The fact or quality of being generally accepted or in use. So, we've already said money's a currency. Words might be the initial, like the original, that's the ultimate currency, okay? Because if you and I don't speak the same language, then we cannot communicate, and if we cannot communicate, then we cannot do anything, really, right? We might be able to smile, we might be able to go back to singing songs and dancing and drawing, but we can't, like, organize, you know? We can't exchange anything at a really high level. So what we did was we made this agreement as a people that I was going to make these noises, and you were going to accept those noises to mean X. And in another country, they mean Y. And over here, they mean Z. And you have to learn to speak that language in order to transact that business with that place, right? So what else is a currency? Come on, baby. You can do it. Information, obviously. What about social influence, though? Right? Come on. Is social influence a currency? Right? When you're trying to get your blog post shared, what do? You find influencers, right? Somebody who can share your information, somebody who might find interest or value in the information that you created. And then you hope that by them finding that value, they might want to share it with somebody else who then again might find value. And if you can find somebody who's got a bigger audience than you to share that, then maybe you grow your audience, right? So as we understand information as a currency, we have to understand that content is information, right? And so in the world of WordPress, when you start thinking about information, you have to start thinking about content, the content you generate on your website, the content your users generate on your website, right? The interactions with the app. Talking about A/B testing. A/B testing is currency because you're getting information. Right? If you have two versions of a website and this one sells better than this one, then this is generating more dollars, which means that information is directly attributable to your bottom line. Like you can literally quantify that information as dollars. And that becomes more important as we move forward, right? As we get closer and closer to that line, to that place where cash will no longer exist, where we're only transacting digitally. Then what are you going to use? What are you going to buy? What if this levels the playing field all over the country, right? Because now it doesn't matter what house you live in or how much money you have in the bank. All that matters is what kind of information, what kind of value, what kind of, what value add, what additional value can you bring to the network, to this ecosystem, right? So what does that mean for your website? First of all, WordPress is a great place to start because you own the data, okay? Your website should be the hub for your online interactions and leverage social media. Here's the thing. Everybody loves social media. You should stop using it. Until you figure out how to leverage your website as a social tool, you should not be building other people's information networks for them, right? And so many times we'll go and we'll start a group and we'll start posting on Facebook and we'll build our entire brand. You'll see people on their business cards with their Facebook page as their website. And we all know that's ridiculous because we know how easy it is to install a WordPress website. But for the most of the world, they don't get that. They don't understand that you need to be the hub. You need to control this exchange of information. You need to control this entire ecosystem. Look for new ways to create immersive online experiences. This is happening with the way that we build user interfaces, the way that we build digital interaction. All that data you collect. How big is your email list? How big is your database? Is your email list segmented? You know? Do you know what your users are doing the first time they get to your site? What page they log into? What's the first place people come to? A lot of people think their homepage is the most important page on their website, but I will tell you that the homepage is almost always the second page people will find if you're doing a good job of generating quality content, because they will come in through the blog. The blog is your hook. If you're fishing, the blog is the bait. And the website is where you're trying to get that, right? You're trying to pull them in with that bait, with that social media. Again, they become arrows that point back to your website. So you use these tools to get people back to the place where then you can use that information as a currency in the building of your business, in the building of your brand. Ask this question. Why should someone visit or explore your website, right? There's a lot of them. What's different about you? What's different about your www. Whatever, right? If we're talking about selling and we're talking about the future, you have to start thinking about using your website as building a technological trust fund, okay? You must continually make deposits, right? Your retirement just doesn't happen. Your retirement slowly accrues over time, right? And you talk to any good financial advisor and they say if you start touching that money too early, you start diminishing your quality of your returns. Same thing online. If the first thing that happens when I get to your website is I'm berated by some kind of pop-up that says, give me something, you haven't earned anything. I'm out. See ya, right? And you've turned me off instantly. Why not wait till the third page? When you know I'm bought in at least a little, right? Very simple steps. So how do you do that with your content, right? How do you get people to stick? How do you get people to pay attention? How do you stand out? First of all, solve my problem. Remember, users are selfish. Very selfish when they use the websites. Answer my questions. Right? We used to have to go and spar with that salesperson. We talked about that negotiation process, but now we don't. Now I want to go explore your blog. I want to talk to your social media guys. I want to see what's happening on your Facebook feed. I want to see what's happening everywhere else other than what you say. It's your job to sell your product. So I don't care what you have to say anymore. Oh, there's a slide about being selfish. Why would I interact? Why would I sign up? Why would I give you my information? Why would I give you a piece of my wallet? Right? That's what we have to start thinking about. As we're starting to understand that information is this currency that's going to power the future of sales, then you have to step back and you have to say, why would somebody pull out their wallet and give me that money? Right? Because that's the first sale. People don't walk into a store for the first time and just buy everything they see. You know, maybe they're going to go in and they find the thing that somebody sent them there and said, that's the thing you buy at this store. So how do we put people first? We talked about it. How does Facebook win? Showcase user-generated content. Facebook does not generate content. We do. And we put it on Facebook. Facebook wins. They have our information. Let me try your product freemium, right? Give me a taste of it. Make sure the thing works. Make sure it's going to fit my needs. It's easy to do online. We're talking about service. It doesn't cost you money to multiply your server stack. Barely. We're talking about storing a little bit of data, letting somebody touch your digital interface beforehand. It's not like you're letting them test drive cars or letting them run out with product that you can't put back on the shelf. There's no wear and tear on your data, on your website. Be transparent with what you're doing with it. You know, let me know. Let me make your terms clear. You don't need to bury your privacy policy in a million words of legal mumbo jumbo. Just be clear. What are you doing with it? Allow me to revoke my trust at any time. I should be able to walk away with one click, right? Lots of times, just buy these products and 100% money back guarantee. And then I call to get my money back. Well, you know, like, how about half your money back? No, I want the whole thing. It didn't work for me, right? So let me revoke my trust. And then we've talked about this before, but giving me something in value before asking of something in return. If information is the currency of the future, and I mentioned this before, then search engines become the banks, right? And right now we recognize Google as the search engine. They are the search engine. They have the majority of the market share, but they're not the only ones. People are searching on YouTube. People are searching on Facebook. And guess what? If you don't have a search bar on your website, people are not searching there, but they should be, and they might be, because they want to know where your information is. All right? You can't see everything. It's impossible to see everything that might be on your homepage in one snapshot. So why not give them the opportunity to search? Because search engine optimization is no longer optional. And this idea that Google is the only search engine is going to be archaic, right? They may be the dominant force, but that doesn't mean you won't see these little nodes. Maybe a little local guy, right? What about Yelp? What about any one of those? Foursquare, TripAdvisor. Those are all websites where people go to search about very specific things. And so, the last slide said SEO is no longer optional, but complete web optimization is more important. So this idea that you're only optimizing your content for one search engine or that you're only doing one thing, like you just have to understand that this is all a comprehensive solution to optimizing the website so that it's efficient in all sorts of search, because we're moving towards a distributed media environment too. Again, your website's just the hub. All your content is everywhere else. You're posting on Facebook, you're posting on Twitter, you're posting on LinkedIn, you're posting on Medium, you're posting on whatever you're podcasting at, Stitcher, iTunes, you're publishing everywhere. And those should literally just be signals back to this point. All right? So SEO used to be kind of stupid. You could keyword stuff it and fill in some meta tags and you win. All right? It's gotten a lot smarter. It's gotten very, very, very smart. In the future, it's going to be ridiculously smart. We talked about artificial intelligence. But imagine as all this information starts being queued up, and Google's able to say, hey, this guy was talking to this guy over here who's a bank robber, and this guy over here who just got out of jail for this, and they've been looking at this bank over here. Really weird. And this other guy, he's been casing this and making these weird phone calls, and next thing you know, the cops are there to arrest them before they rob the bank. Minority Report will be true, and Google will probably be the one that brings it to us. Again, information used to stop. If you stop the loss of money, is that not currency? Right? Is that not a value to somebody? So how do you win on online sales? I got 8 final steps. We're going to run through these real quick. Create evergreen content / information, right? Not really content, we're talking about information. Bait your hooks. Evergreen content means that content is good for me whether I see it today or a year from now, right? None of you guys should be worried about covering the news. They got way bigger budgets and people that can do that. In real time, overnight, forget about it. You just can't compete in that space. But find an interesting take and show me how it relates to your town and an issue they may have been working on over the last year, and now after that news event has passed, I'm still going to find that article to get more contextual understanding of why that thing is taking place. Next. Come on, baby. Deliver real value, right? Give me something that I can take away. Again, give before you ask. Put your user first. Remember, online users are selfish. Think about how you would use the website. Think about every time you click a link on Facebook and the page takes 10 seconds to load and you leave and never come back. Is that your website? Right? Is 90% of your traffic leaving in those first 10 seconds? Do you know? I don't know. What's your user think about that? Have you done user testing? Think like a media company. This is something that's becoming more and more pervasive, right? Tell a better story, but not like a clickbait website. The last thing you want to be the guy that drives all this traffic that then bounces, okay? Because now Google's like, high bounce rate. People keep turning around. Nothing interesting to look and see there. Stay nimble, right? Fast is better than big at this point. You can get big, and fast can always get big, right? But it's hard for big to get fast. Tell a great story. We're connecting emotionally. Be bold. There's enough mediocrity online right now, okay? And the biggest thing here, right, with being bold leads into this last one, which means try something new, okay? The internet's not permanent. The internet has no permanence. You can go and change it today, tomorrow, maybe somebody grabs a screenshot, but your audience probably isn't that big, so it's not gonna matter. So try something new with your website. Explore what you might do, how you might leverage that information to turn it into something that you can actually use to actually grow your website and start understanding that currency really is information. Information is the only currency that matters moving forward. Cool. Any questions? Yeah, he's coming with the mic. Hang on one second, he's gonna.
Well, first of all, that was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Is this presentation online?
Yes. Slides.com/Rymar Slides.com/Rymar RAYMMARTIRADO.
And then the actual video will be posted on our live stream for the next 30 days if you purchase the live stream.
Live stream, and we also recorded, so this will be on our Clear Idea website. And what is that? Who's periscoped me? Thank you for that.
Did I hear that you should have, you should build traffic? And what was your method there? I was distracted.
Just creating a unique value proposition, right? So if you're looking to drive traffic, you have to find something that's interesting, something that somebody else isn't doing. You have to find a perspective that's not being overdone, right? And to be honest, traffic doesn't matter, FYI, right? I spent the last year and a half of my life, 2 years of my life building a website that did a crap ton of traffic. It didn't generate a single dollar in my pocket, right? Because you can always generate traffic, you can always clickbait, you can always do things that get you popular. What you need to do is understand that traffic so that then you can turn that into money or more sales, right? So traffic doesn't matter.
What is Google looking for to decide whether or not to bring people to your site? What are they making their decisions on?
All of those, okay, so he wanted to know what Google is looking at to basically feed that traffic to your site, right? How do they determine whether or not you're relevant in that ranking? Who answers my question the best? Google's stated mission is to deliver the best information in real time, right? So they're trying to solve your problem. That's specifically their goal, is to give you the best information. And so that's why winning at search is the only way to win. But the only way to do that, to stand out to Google, is to first of all, update your site regularly. Update your site. So if you understand how bots work online, right? A bot comes out and it crawls your website and it's like, oh, okay, here's the website. And then maybe, another time it comes down, he's like, oh, here's the website again. Same website. Next time it's gonna take more time and more time and more time. But if it comes back, it's like, oh, lots of changes, more changes, oh, there's things happening here. I know, we'll come back and check that regularly. So now you've given Google a signal that there's something happening here. That's why blogging frequency matters. Okay, you need to give them signals that things are actually happening. Social signals, right? Facebook sharing, Twitter sharing, all those are sites pointing back to you. The authority of the other sites that link back to your website. All of those are signals that Google reads as indicators as to what your website, where it should show up in those rankings.
I just have a question. You were talking about creating content. How's video going to factor into that? I have a site that got about 4 videos a week on.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
So again, volume of content has no relevance, right? A lot of people are putting out a lot of content right now. That's actually what's overwhelming the system. That's why it's becoming harder and harder to find the good stuff, right? So I think we're going to move from a point of content creation to a point of content curation as the hub for finding all that content, right? That's why Medium and things like that are becoming really popular, because they're curation platforms, okay? So essentially, we're talking about other people helping you find and send signals of that information. So I would say find other networks that can help you promote that content, find interesting ways to get that out, ask the people who view your video why they're viewing. Do you know how long they're viewing those videos? Right? Because a lot of times you might get 1,000 views, but then you look at your stats on YouTube and find out that nobody's watching past 15 seconds. Information, right? Why keep producing 4 videos a day if you're only getting 100 views a video, or even if it's 1,000? Why not post one video with 4,000 views and make that the point? You know? And so again, quantity has no relevance. Quality is all that matters.
So on the sales side, with social selling, what's your experience with tools like Nimble, social selling platforms, and also BuzzStreet? We use BuzzStreet a lot for our digital marketing clients. Do you have experience with those type of tools, or are there other tools that you recommend?
Yeah, so honestly, I'll tell you that a lot of my sales experience comes from the door-to-door ground and pound game, right? I got 10 years in actual like face-to-face, this is how sales happens. And one of the interesting things is that a lot of that software misses those elements. And so what I would say is take your real-world sales process and find out how you can use the digital tools to mimic those elements to create those real touch points, those human touch points, right? Create real, genuine engagement, because some of those digital tools are really cool. You know, there's a lot of sales optimization tools, and I don't want to get into like this one over that one or whatever, but there's a lot of tools out there that can help you sell through social media, through whatever. The most important thing is to take that real world sales process that you know works, because that's how sales has always worked, and translate that into a digital process and find ways to replicate those touch points digitally.
You talked about the old versus new sales, and you talked about in the old style that profit was the key and now it's purpose. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I kind of skipped over a section there. It's not that those things in the old style are not relevant anymore, right? It's not that we don't have to interrupt people. That's still going to have to happen, right? Because you got to get your product out there. You still have to at some point say, hey, can I pitch you? Can I talk to you about this thing, right? So that's still going to be there. It just can't be your primary focus, right? Same thing with profit. That's not to say that profit can't be your primary focus, right? Everybody's got to manage the bottom line, and profit's good. Everybody loves money, okay? The problem is that there's so many people out there who are just trying to put a shingle on a wall and say, this is my profit-driven business, and there's no real value there. And so what we're seeing is that companies are coming out and saying, let's focus on doing something really cool first, and then the money starts piling in, right? And so it's not necessarily that you have to ignore the old rules. It's that you have to understand how to migrate those and how to balance those with what's coming, with the new tools.
Last question.
Where are we at? Anybody else? Did you have a follow-up?
My question actually really was I was more asking about the search engine value of video.
Okay.
About video having all this value.
Sure.
How's it getting to the
Well,
search engine, and how are they seeing it?
Sure. So YouTube is probably not probably, it is the second most popular search engine, or third, and it hovers between Facebook and YouTube, back and forth. But Google has 2 of the top 3 search engines, right? And so actually, if you look at what Facebook's doing right now with native video, their native video performs a lot better than if you publish it with YouTube and syndicate your YouTube post on your Facebook feed, you know, because it's playing live and in line. You get all sorts of inflated views because it starts auto-playing as people scroll up their news feed, and so people get excited about all the views they get on their Facebook content, even though there's no real engagement. But all those are signals back to your content, right? So search engines cannot index video yet. They're working on it, right? And that's why they do the translations. That's why they look at other signals to figure out how they can place that relevant. But your subscriber count, your views, the social sharing, all of those same signals apply to video. And the best thing you can do for your video to help it perform is actually take some of the transcript and publish it, right? Write it out so that YouTube or that Google can know, hey, this video is about this stuff. And not to mention, not everybody can always watch a video. Or sometimes those little notes become beautiful addendums, right? Or additional points. So as they're watching, they have these little things that they can then check off, and it becomes a to-do list or a checkbox or a highlight or they don't have to write the notes out. They can just copy and paste or bookmark your article now. And so again, the video is the one piece of content, but if you're not optimizing that video for distribution, for sharing, for search, for all of these things, then you're really like kind of spinning your wheels, right? So I would say, I would encourage anyone that's creating content right now to focus that creating the content is only one piece of it. It's the distribution and the nourishing and the sharing. That is how you generate those social signals back to Google that says this is a valid piece of content. Because anyone can publish, right? I think we're running real close to time, but do we have time for one more? That might have been the buzz of those. I know y'all are trying to eat. I'm hungry too.
Does anyone here know about Fiverr.com? Fiverr.com. For $5 plus a certain charge, you can send a YouTube video. It will transcribe every word that's spoken. Then back to you, you repurpose that content, put it in a description into use it as a blog post, and you use that content. So that's the best way to get the advanced out. Free, not too expensive.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I would just be careful with Fiverr. Just add a disclaimer to that. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.